race 12 of the season. Will we get winner number 12 of the inaugural Japanese Super Touring Championship and race 2 of the Sazuka Grand Prix venue round? Adrian Michael Rees alongside Michael Swinnerton once more. We're expecting this to be a bit more lively than race 2. Fair to say?
Well, here's hoping. We've got a privateer on pole who, they could win. They're on pole. They've got a good chance. That Mazda has shown some speed this weekend, but we've also got the Toyotas right there. I don't think they've shown their full hand yet. So, yeah, who's to say what's going to happen?
And if I've got this right, that is 5 four-wheel drive cars at the front of the pack, splintered by 2 Hondas, and then the remaining Subaru, Mercedes behind that. So it could be a decent swarm as the Hondas might fall back. We've seen it before. We'll wait for the lights to go out and see what happens.
Yeah, those Hondas are going to have to be careful to maintain as much position and do a lot of blocking as we get going.
We saw Narrow Side just might have had a jump on Nakajima, but Nakajima managed to get the better jump in the end anyway. It's Butcher around the outside in Narusai.
Oh, he's clipped the AstroTurf already.
And Rustad looked to capitalise there as the swarm goes through the J-turn of turn 1. Katayama still in 5th, as obviously the 2 Mercedes have swamped both the Hondas, as did the other Subaru. Through the S's they go.
Suzuki's fallen all the way back to 11th after starting, 6th, 7th?
The four-wheel drive element, very much a domain in Japan. Honda, well, other ideas. They've never thought about putting a four-wheel drive circuit together, but hey-ho, let's see what happens if they can. But a very good start for the privateer Mazda nonetheless, and it's going to be work to do for that car, for that driver, if these 2 Toyotas are going to be on what we're expecting to be their A game from the very get-go of the championship. So Narusai looking to psych out Nakajima there, but more of a gap already due to that slight error of judgment as holding off Butcher as well.
Yeah, well, also bear in mind, I figured that Mazda would get a good start because, of course, it's diesel, so it's got a lot of low-end torque. So it's not surprising it got a good run out of the corner there and a good start on these Toyotas, but I don't think he's out the woods just yet. Obviously, this is just the first lap. He's got a lot of fast cars behind him.
As the swarm heads towards 130R, Nakano works Mitsubishi, giving Mercedes a bit what for there. Suzuki escaped 10th and 11th, starting to gain ground again. Down the inside goes Lotter on Schumacher on Lotter rather.
Yeah, another late lunge that didn't pay off.
Where have we seen that before? Race 1, obviously.
Everybody's single file already. I'm sure that won't last,
but best weekend so far.
Yeah.
It seems.
Now, we know that Katayama was struggling for speed in race 1, lost a few spots from her pretty good qualifying position. I wonder if that's going to happen again this time by. Wouldn't surprise me necessarily if Takahashi found his way past the Mazda and then she would be fending off the 2 Mercedes-Benzes there. Unless they've found something in the setup of that car in between the 2 races, of course. Also entirely possible.
Experts would point to the stats that Subaru managed to get a win in round 4 as a better weekend, and mathematically they are right by about 7 points there. That looks at 8 points.
That was a very late lunge from Takahashi there. Katayama slammed that door very quickly on him.
And it's still a chain from first to the mid-pack. Then a gap to the Chaser Motorsports, sandwiching a Genesis there.
Yeah, at least they've got 1 car in the points this time by, instead of being all the way at the back.
Now, we're focusing on that Chaser there. Rumour has it a third car was being built. We've seen a leak somewhere,
Mm.
bright red. So maybe that's meant to be the potential new livery for later in the season. We don't know.
Who knows? I mean, it's always good to have a spare chassis and shell just in case something truly catastrophic happens. So maybe they've got scrapes just enough money. Nearly went too wide through the 130R. Yeah, maybe they've just scraped together enough budget to get a spare car built.
A whole car, though, kind of implies it's going to be a third or a single car team effort for somebody else.
Who knows?
Maybe in Japan. Let's see. We'll just have to wait and see. Winterbottom then, scraping the points. Nomura ahead.
Yeah, if Winterbottom wants to have a run at this championship, he needs to be doing better than this. I mean, we are now into the second half, so if you're going to make a play, you need to start doing it. And that was a very concise send up the inside on Nomura, so Winterbottom now up another spot. He's got Ingram in the Mitsubishi in front of him. That'll be the next target. Though he's not really pulling away from the two Crown athletes there. I wonder if Nomura is going to be able to get him back somehow. But then, of course, that might just be down to setup. It might be that Winterbottom's got a very trimmed out car with not much downforce going on, so he will not be very fast, and he will be rather unstable through the S's, and really come into his own in the second half of the lap here. Just have to wait and see once they get around the hairpin, I suppose.
Mutter with the fastest lap. Still a sizable gap to 13th on up. It's a chain from 13th to 1st. I'm assuming that's no sign that Ingram will be taking one position at a time here. He's too far back as well. It's just the map will always throw me.
Yeah, I mean, also bear in mind it's, you know, big circuit, so the arrows are going to look a lot closer together than they actually are.
Katayama starting to tail off like he did in race 1.
Yeah, she's lost a spot to Takahashi there, so as I sadly predicted, she's now going to have to fend off the Mercedes-Benz duo as that car slowly seems to fade over the course of the race.
No dive bombs there. Will there be a dive bomb further back? We'll just have to wait and see. Still very much. Oh, hello. There was one further back there with the chasers swapping, or almost swapping positions there. Winterbottom now ahead of both of them, and Nomura holding up E-Day, the benefactor, shall we say, of the team. And hopefully some. Well, it's been good that they've managed to get a little bit more sponsorship in. Still a very plain livery. We know why. Would they have enough time to get a livery in for the end of the season? A proper livery. When I say proper, I mean you can see a privateer Mazda there, very well presented, as are the two Toyotas in what is their traditional colours. The two Subarus, I mean, enough said. The two Mercedes, enough said. Mitsubishi, fair enough. Honda, as we know and like, yellow, white, red, and black. I am colourblind, honest. Moto now holding up Ingram as he's closed up somewhat.
Yeah, Ingram's got himself on the back of this train. Winterbottom has not escaped this back. The
back row.
Yeah.
The back benches.
So that car has got itself enough speed to get to 14th, but not any more to break free of the grouping there. I think it's going to take the two Crown athletes to start fighting each other to really allow Winterbottom to escape there. Now, having said that, that front group isn't that far away. Is it going to be everybody but Fujiwara in one great big long line of 19 cars, I wonder? Ingram goes a bit wide there.
I was about to be very optimistic and say, why isn't Fujiwara in this? But then, yes, he's plumb last and plumb back as well. Spoon.
Yeah, that Honda is just not behaving for them. I have heard that they are very, very close to getting their new car built, and they're hoping to debut it before this year is out. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of a late season resurgence for that team there.
It is fair they've been given dispensation given the age of the car. That has been a franchise mandate that if someone really wants to run that car, it's almost like a, here you are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, that
we'll allow you this one.
That car is the proverbial hard mode. See the two Mercedes going side by side.
And there
that
goes
was dangerous.
Schumacher again down the inside of Lotra. Position swapped that we saw instead, but still not completed. Or
still
maybe
too wide.
Not.
Yeah, Lotra got a wheel on the AstroTurf on the outside of, or going into turn 2, which can
again.
Instantly loop you round if you're not careful. So he did very well not to spin the car there. They are still too wide.
This is the most efficient for two-way side-by-siding, two-way tandem.
Schumacher finally gets the point off of Lotra.
Suzuki 10th. Honda mediocre.
Can Schumacher get around Katayama in front? Because clearly Lotra wasn't able to, so Schumacher's now going to have a go. He got a good exit there.
Schumacher.
And then just lifted off the throttle a little bit. That's an interesting thought process. Although he's still got the speed, he's got the run, he's gaining on Katayama, he's not far back enough to do anything.
And further up, Subaru down the inside of Toyota. Almost.
Takahashi wants another podium.
And
Toyota just with the momentum there.
And it's still very close for the change of the lead as we almost embrace halfway. Nomura with the fastest lap from downtown.
Lots of slipstreaming help for that one, I dare say.
Surely that's going to be popped as the leaders cross the line now.
You would think. Two Hondas here going side by side. They're going to try and repeat what Mercedes just did last lap.
All right,
but
maybe
Muto
not.
is right there.
Lap.
Muto's having a look.
Inside of the J turn 1.
You've got to be careful not to push him wide like that.
That's a wobble on, and strangely less aggressive than race 1. I think he has realised the slight error of his ways, but that's still a bit light by comparison to race 1. He's fallen back a place, down to 12th again. Goes Skiff.
Yeah, we've got the two Australians now next to each other.
Yep. That'll be incentive for Winterbottom, no doubt.
And formation flying between the two teams here. Honda, Genesis. Just not in the positions they want to be, obviously. Race 2 reverse grid notwithstanding, of course. Although Nakano's kind of holding up. What line was that, Suzuki?
You can but only laugh. That was crazy business.
He's going to get a warning flag for track limits for that one.
And almost there in the hairpin.
I was going to say he's clearly being, or Nakano's holding these guys up a little bit now, it seems, but Suzuki being very impatient, it seems, to get past the Mitsubishi in front, get away from that Genesis behind him. Race for third, back on again. Takahashi got a good run out of the spoon.
Subaru with, well, you could say they've had more four-wheel drive expertise than Toyota, notwithstanding Celica has been a World Rally effort for a long time too. You'd have thought, well, it is, almost a tie still. Subaru thought they had it through the back section from the hairpin to spoon, but it looks like Toyota have got it in the straights, as Rustad looks to be sending Takahashi a message as well then. Let me through, let me have a go. But here comes Schumacher on the outside of Katayama. And there's the top speed element as well. up to 6th goes Schumacher after race 1 win. He means business. 4 to go, maybe he will.
He's got a lot of cars to pass, but that Mercedes is clearly on form right now, so if he can get lucky with some of this traffic, he might just be able to pull off something somewhat incredible.
Suffice it to say, we have seen the fan bases turn up in droves here, one of which was dressed up in the shape of, when I say Mercedes fans, he was dressed up in the shape of a Mercedes Group C car somehow. Almost Transformer-like, which was very bizarre, very surreal, but very entertaining nonetheless.
Fantastic. I've seen plenty of those homemade hats they like to make here, of like where it's the car sitting on top of their head. That's always been entertaining to see.
Especially that Toyota, given the news that broke last year that they were coming back to Japan, just from Japan. And they're trying for the win here in front of those fans, but the underdog is barking out loud right now as Nakajima's Mazda is still putting a decent gap on the favourites.
Yeah. You can tell it's a diesel. Listen to how low it was revving there. It sounded like he was just not bothering to shift up even. Or on half throttle maybe. But yeah, he's got himself a gap to the two Toyotas there.
I never liked that Seat back in the 2000s, Scott. The TDI Seat, what a noise. No battle for 3rd this time by. And it is back being single file once more.
I feel like Winterbottom is going to...
still not spread out except for the guy in last, which is... we were
starting to get a bit sporadic towards the back there, just sort of racing around in pairs. I do feel like Winterbottom is going to mount an attack on Suzuki before this race is over, though. He just needs to get the corners right at the right places on the track, and he can be on the back of that Honda. Mura here, a comfortable 14th. Ingram in the last points paying position, holding off Ide. Oh,
another wobble off for Ingram, but it's not as volatile as race 1, so he's still safe there.
Yeah. It's probably something to do with the brake bias, because you're braking and turning for turn 2 there. It might be that the transference of weight is just... that Mitsubishi doesn't quite like it, so he's got to be careful going into turn 2, lest the car come out from underneath him.
Frenson minding her own business in 17th, different line again. Not the high and wide from High Speed Ring, not much camber here to play with. That was very much flash in the pan, unless we see some magic later on this season somewhere else. Pitonia's not their best day either.
No, 18th,
and the same can be said for
outside the points.
Well, the two Brazilians out of place and out of shape.
Given Pitsonia is a works effort, that is the complete opposite of where he expects to be, so he's going to be rather miffed by the time this weekend is done, I feel.
Takahashi with the fastest lap. So this is where the teamwork makes the dream work. Hopefully, Butcher will be defending like all hell on the exit of the chicane.
Yeah, we know Takahashi's got the speed to get back onto the podium. It just depends on Butcher's defending capabilities.
Fastest lap, last lap for Takahashi as well, so this should be intriguing. Nobody with the... oh,
there's a move for the lead.
Dive bomb. That's for the lead. Okay, we've seen it before. Hopefully, okay. Well defended from Nakajima, who was well used to that in race 1 when battling for the pole position. Takahashi now making up for the momentum lost by the two Toyotas. Almost formation flying into the back of Nakajima's Mazda. But here comes Rustad again. Okay.
Rustad got to be careful. Schumacher is right there. They're all starting to trip over each other now.
Rustad from the outside of Takahashi.
Not quite, maybe. Are we going to go too wide for the whole letters again?
Brave. Takahashi still ahead. Rustad eating grass, force of habit.
It's a Subaru.
And Schumacher is definitely meaning business, but I think it's too little too late for a double victory with all that business further ahead.
Yeah, but he can at least squeak himself into the top 5 and solidify a lot of points for this this weekend.
Here's something I didn't factor in either. I completely forgot. In the midst of this excitement, is Nakano down the inside of Muto, starting to get cloudy. I know what that means, but
it is looking a bit
outside,
threatening.
Still dry. Nothing is hitting.
If it does rain, it's not going to be enough to affect the outcome of this race.
Again.
Everyone's getting a bit antsy now. We've got the last 2 laps of race 2. People are trying to make something happen.
Entertaining midfield swarm for the fans trackside. Narusai perhaps burnt their effort in trying to get past Nakajima on the previous lap. A lap and a half of goodness to go, though.
Yeah, Winterbottom's now got himself around Suzuki. Nomura is right there, so salvaging a tiny something out of this weekend.
A crumb of comfort is comfort nonetheless.
Are we going to see any silliness into the chicane this time by... Yes, by a Mercedes by the looks of things. Not enough to really make it stick. So Katayama's managed to hold her own in 7th place here. Hasn't fallen back as violently as she did in race 1. So the Mazda mechanics have worked something out with that car to keep it on the straight and narrow this time.
As I drop my headset on the touchscreen, it still doesn't work. Whoops, right.
Meanwhile, last lap. Nakajima still in the lead. He's been in control of this race the entire time. Very, very professional drive from the privateer driver here. Considering you look out the rearview mirror and that is a scary collection of cars to see behind you.
The entire fleet of factory efforts from Tokyo down to Brighton, he has raced them all today.
Meanwhile, these two having their own little fight outside the points. Once more time into the hairpin.
This is where the drama lay now with half a lap to go. Toyota fighting Subaru for the... They've tripped over each other trying to get the win out of a privateer effort. And it's looking still promising as there's a bit more daylight now, thankfully. The clouds have parted. Takahashi trying to part the Toyotas a bit too soon in the spoon.
He needs to get a good run here, but he completely missed the apex, so I think that's his threat for a double podium weekend done and dusted, sadly, unless he can seriously send it into the last couple of corners here.
Nonetheless, it will still put Toyota ahead in the Teams Championship. HQ will be still thinking, what can we possibly do? What can we do? Unless a Narusai dive bomb, that's going to be brave. Very entertaining couple of turns to go, especially if Takahashi's going to get ahead of Butcher as well. But no, well then, 12 races, 12 wins. Oh my days, what have we got in store for the rest of the championship? As Nakajima wins, Toyota second and third, very good for them, but why didn't they do this sooner? Subaru, one of their better performances this weekend as well, as everyone up until 18th gets across the line before we cut the footage here. And Mazda, the factory effort, will be asking for some support from these guys, no doubt, if they are to be any better as we start to pack up here. And boy, was that a lot more entertaining than race 1, Swinny.
I mean, I did theorise at the end of race 1 that having a privateer in the lead will bottleneck everybody, and whilst Nakajima ran a very, very good race there, keeping everybody at bay, we did see a giant train of cars from first on back to what, 13th, 14th? that
We
all
were
could
expecting more.
feasibly have a go
Yeah,
at each other.
the privateer aspect isn't as privateer as people think in Japan, and this is not a surprise to anyone in the paddock. Of all the mechanics or any hardcore racing fans, this is to be expected in Japan, unlike somewhere say Europe or the World Championship. But yeah, the fact that he wasn't holding everybody up, we've seen that happen with the Chaser team. We've seen that happen with the Caterpillar team at High Speed Ring, despite the atmosphere of the circuit. Not the atmosphere, the climate of the circuit. This is something a bit more traditional. It's the most traditional circuit of all, really, isn't it? It's not been changed since the 80s, apart from like a slight tweak here or there, and a very entertaining weekend's worth of racing for the fans, and hopefully for you at home as well. And we shall see you for race 2, for round 7 sometime soon. Before we go then, let's remind ourselves, Toyota lead the championship, Genesis on the back foot for this time by, Chaser with the privateer lead, even if they had probably their worst weekend so far. Second place in the Genesis still second place in the teams, with Mazda third place, not performing well either. That starts to bunch up. As for the drivers then, Gordon Butcher is now leading the championship again after the Winterbottom surge has diminished somewhat. He's second. Winterbottom Narusai up to third as E-Day's early season performance starts to diminish. He's dropped down to 6th. So we're going to be expecting more of this, and long may it continue for season 1. Adrian Michael Rees show alongside Michael Swinnerton. Good racing, everyone. Sayonara.